Hello summoners and welcome back to another ProGuides video. Today we're going to talk about a couple of tricks you can use to climb out of elo hell. Now many players might be familiar with what we're going to talk about, things like roaming and repeat ganking, because it's honestly that simple. But many players don't use these two concepts effectively. You can use these every game no matter what role you are, and we're going to break down how to take these simple concepts and use them to absolutely dominate games. By the way, one thing I want to know personally is who you guys are rooting for at Worlds this year. Whether they've already secured their spot or not, let us all know down below which player or team you want to support. Also, feel free to leave any feedback or suggestions. But before we get started, make sure to go to ProGuides.com if you want to see huge improvements in your rank. We upload video guides similar to this one on our website every single day. As of now, we're currently uploading a Challenger gameplay analysis guide for every single champion, so make sure to click that link below. Also, we have an exclusive feature called InstaPro, which provides instant, on-demand 24/7 coaching from the best of the best. Trust me guys, you don't want to miss out on this, so sign up today. Now with all that being said, let's jump right into it. First off, let's talk about the preliminary stuff. These three things are worth mentioning. The emphasis that you need to place on gold, champion choice, and duo queuing. The most important thing you need to remember is that item advantages are the easiest way to carry games. Item advantages allow you to win teamfights. Winning teamfights allows you to take objectives, and taking objectives is how you win the game. To get items, you need gold, so you need to prioritize creating gold leads. To put it simply, you need to get as much farm as you can, try to find kills, and break turret plating in the early game. With that established, let's talk about how to get those leads. The most reliable ways to create gold leads is through repeat ganking and roaming. Even players who may know this may not be exploiting these strategies as much as they can. To assist you with this, who you play and who you play with can make a world of difference. We need to talk about the champions as we go through this video, but dual queuing is something we need to get out of the way right now. If you're trying to completely dominate games with ganks and roams, your best bet is going to be duo queuing. Especially in lower elo, not everyone is going to know how to set up waves for success. Bring a buddy and work together because teamwork makes the dream work. However, make sure that both you and your duo queue partner are on the same page. You both need to understand minion wave management well enough to consistently bounce waves back to your team's tower. You'll also need to communicate when your opponents have wasted flash and capitalize on it together. Queuing up as top jungle or mid jungle will guarantee that you can build leads in almost every game. With a top jungle duo, you can abuse the enemy top laner because minion wave management is the most unforgiving in the top lane. It's basically free gold, and the game's going to end up as a 5v4. Mid-jungle duos can use lane priority to roam either top or bottom together for dives, and also secure neutral objectives with their map control. Other duo combinations work, but just know that these two have the highest rate of success. Let's talk about repeat ganks. A lot of people know that camping a lane is an effective way to win games, but they might not understand the execution perfectly. First, let's talk about why camping a lane is such a good strategy. Objectively, this is the best play because it has the highest chance of succeeding as opposed to throwing ganks all over the map. After ganking a lane, you'll likely be able to force your opponents to blow flash. If they instead take the death, the lane that you ganked for will pick up a free kill or assist and start to pull ahead. Ganking for lanes that are already ahead will be safer than ones that are behind. In the case that someone is there to counter it, you should win because you're stronger. Since you are stronger, it also means that it'll be easier to pick up kills and you'll have more room for error on your plays. In most cases, you're going to force them to use flash. However, the 5-minute cooldown can be a death sentence for your opponents, and you need to take advantage of this. In that span of time, there are going to be 10 minion waves, meaning you'll have 10 opportunities to look for ganks. Following any successful gank, your goal is to have the minion wave push back towards your team's turret. Immediately after you pick off an opponent, assess the state of the minion wave and determine which way it's pushing. If it's pushing towards your side, you can leave it as is and allow that wave to freeze and maintain itself. Take a reset if needed to, because the wave is frozen on your side anyway. It might be necessary to thin the wave though. Leaving a minion wave that's too big will cause it to crash into your turret before you can return and manage the freeze. If it's pushing towards the enemy's turret, you should fast push the wave and allow it to bounce back. In most cases, crashing a wave into the enemy's turret will cause the next waves to slow push back towards you. When waves are pushing into you, your enemies put themselves at risk of getting ganked every time they want to farm. You want to set up waves so that your opponent has to overextend, opening up to gank opportunities. You want to set up waves so that your opponent has to overextend, opening up to gank opportunities. If done correctly, you'll be able to kill them with your teammate, push waves in, take turret plating, and allow the wave to push back to you. From there, you can repeat that process. If you're a jungler trying to repeat gank, adjust your pathing so you can maximize your farm and finish your jungle path on the side that you're camping. If you're a laner, use slow pushes to create roam timers so you can execute these ganks for free. Roams are an equally effective way to create leads. There's a lot less to explain about how to use them though. All you need to do is walk out of your lane and try to gank another lane in order to execute one. Instead, the stuff we need to talk about more is conceptual stuff. One thing worth mentioning is that you want to create roam timers for yourself by slow pushing waves and crashing stacked waves before you go adventuring. By doing so, you keep your opponents under their turret for longer, making it harder for them to follow your roam and also making it so you lose less to go for one. It's also very necessary that you understand roaming can hard carry games even if you don't find kills with them. In theory, if everyone is playing perfectly, they should back off every time you roam so that they don't die. In practice though, you'll be likely able to pick up some free kills since it's safe to assume most players make mistakes. If you see an enemy that's low, you can roam to that lane to create kill pressure, even if they're sitting under turret. If they're low, you can just dive them if they get overconfident and pick up a free takedown. Otherwise, they'll need to back away from the turret since they know that they would otherwise die. In either case, whether or not you snagged a kill, you can take turret plating and deny your enemy's farm. If you roamed after slow pushing a big wave in, you can return to your lane, that way you don't miss any minions. Like we said, any role can abuse these strategies, but the strongest candidates are mid laners and junglers since they're able to travel anywhere on the map. Our best suggestion is to pick up junglers who can gank early and mid laners who are great at roaming. We're talking about picks like Pantheon, Elise, Twisted Fate, and Malzahar. To help illustrate how to use these concepts, let's talk about it from the perspective of every role. They're pretty similar, but here are a couple key differences. First is top jungle. For our first example, let's talk about Pantheon and Elise. Both of these champions are excellent gankers and excellent divers. Champions who can level 2 gank like Pantheon can get a head start. After taking his first buff, Pantheon is able to level 2 gank top lane and guarantee a summoner spell or even a kill. He can then adjust his pathing to make sure he can abuse his victim as much as possible. What both of these champions excel at is diving. Pantheon can block turret shots with his E, while Elise can dodge a turret and drop aggro with hers. After enabling a laner and helping them build a lead, they can always look to take favorable trades. By picking a strong diving jungler, you can punish enemies for breaking freezes, even if you aren't in position to immediately do so. Let's say, for example, you manage to help your top laner pick up 2 kills and set up the wave to push back towards them. You reset and farm your bottom side camps, while the enemy top laner aggresses and breaks the freeze you set up. What your top laner, presumably your duo, needs to do here is contest their push and trade damage onto them. After trading damage, they've set up a dive opportunity for you once you finish farming up to the top side of the map. Since the enemy top laner has broken their freeze, your top laner can begin a slow push and let it build up until you manage to make it back to the top side. Once you're there, they've pass pushed in the wave they've built and can execute a dive easily. If top lane dives aren't possible, you can always look mid instead. Kled is a great champion to roam mid with because of his ultimate, and since Skarl can tank the turret for him. Top lane Pantheon is equally a strong candidate for the same reasons as jungle Pantheon. You can slow push in waves top and roam mid together as a top jungle duo, 3v1 dive turret, or pick up an easy kill if they're overextended. Mid jungle works in a similar way. Pantheon and Elise are already solid gankers, but champions like Twisted Fate and Malzahar seal the deal and make it impossible to avoid death. You can do the exact same stuff that we just mentioned in the top lane to begin. The difference with this duo is you're better able to transition this lead onto either side of the map. You're able to roam top or bottom for dives, so constantly look at how your side laners are doing. If the enemy bot lane is low, move together as a mid-jungle duo and look to either gank or dive. This is why picks like Malzahar and TF are so good. Their point-and-click CC allows them to set up easy kills, while Twisted Fate's ultimate gives him more map mobility. In cases where it's too hard to gank bottom, you can almost always gang up on the enemy top laner. Since it's a solo lane, you'll be able to find yourself in a 3v1 or 3v2 situation at worst, so it's easy to abuse them. As long as the enemy top laner isn't extremely fed, you can usually dive them under turret with 3 members and pick up easy kills. Most players just assume that under their turret is a safe place, but it isn't always that way, and you can punish them for making these assumptions. Mid and top lane duos can attempt to use these strategies to help each other, but there's just going to be a lot less guarantee. You're not always going to be able to secure lane priority by yourself, but in cases that you can, try to get your jungler on board as well when you make plays. Jungle bot or jungle support duos are pretty effective ones as well, similar to a top jungle duo. Compared to a top jungle duo though, it is harder to gank bottom lane, and you'll also need to rely on one other player to find success. You'd apply these strategies in the exact same way that you would for a top jungle duo, except on the other side of the map. Since bot laners come with more summoner spells, you should be aware that it's harder to pick up kills. It's mainly up to the support to facilitate ganks and roam. This is an issue though, since supports usually don't use gold leads effectively as other roles. Conversely, marksmen will usually have difficulty setting up ganks for their junglers. There's going to be some trade-offs you'll have to be willing to accept if you choose one of these duos. Champions like Ashe, Jhin, Nautilus, and Pyke are going to be your best friends. They'll make it a lot easier to successfully gank their lane and also roam rather well. If you're playing marksman, you don't have to stay bottom when your support roams, especially if they're roaming mid. You can walk with them and provide some extra utility or damage, since it's pretty difficult to farm in 1v2 situations anyway. Nautilus and Pyke are terrifying to play against as a mid laner. Their roams are lethal, especially Nautilus after 6, since he can use his ultimate for guaranteed CC and follow it up with his hook. A bottom lane duo is one of the strongest duos that you can use, but it is less effective at taking advantages of these specific strategies. To execute repeat ganks, you need a jungler or mid laner who will act on your wave management. But since both you and your duo are tag teaming in the bottom lane, there is no guarantee that this will happen. Roaming is much more plausible, but it comes at a greater cost than other roles. The most effective use of roams, like we mentioned, is allowing the support to roam. They can usually roam mid with ease and try to create some sort of lead there. Roaming top is harder, and their lane partner will also have to sacrifice a lot more. While they're doing this, the bot laner is going to need to play very safe, likely giving up some farm, and maybe even back away from the turret if they sense a dive is coming. Alright, that's going to conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching, we really appreciate it. If you guys want more content like this to help you improve, check out ProGuides.com, where we've teamed up with pro players to create guides designed to help you take your game to the next level. Also, keep an eye out on our YouTube channel, where we're constantly updating it with new content just like this. Good luck on the Rift, and we will see you all next time.